What's up? Joe, Profit First Reseller here. And I got an important question to ask you. Tonight, it's 8:50 p.m. I have, as you can see on the screen, hopefully over here, $1,040 worth of orders to pack, 34 items. I'm hoping to get this done in the next hour or so I can go head to bed, maybe watch some Dropout, Game Changers with my wife. And yeah, just wanted to take you along with me. Thought I'd hit record, just put the kids to bed. We're reading Skylanders Universe. Shout out Disgruntled Octopus. Love the new direction with the channel. I think it's going to be cool. And yeah, focusing on neurodivergence and stuff. Check out, if you're interested in neurodivergence and reselling, check out Disgruntled Octopus. Really awesome, really an interesting guy. And also probably the YouTube expert on Skylanders as far as reselling goes. It's certainly in Australia, maybe worldwide, so check him out. We love Skylanders around here, both for selling on eBay and also just the lore. We're reading the Skylanders Universe chapter books at night before we go to bed. It's a good time. So anyway, let's see. I thought we'd look at some comments today while we pack some orders. And before we do that, I do want to talk to you about something that's kind of been on my mind. There's an important question to ask yourself here if you're wanting to take on something difficult, I think. Oh, here's my computer just shut off. You know, I would actually caution you from sharing your big goals from people. I'm going to cut straight to the chase here. I think it might be good to achieve them first. And I want to tell you why. My computer's kind of messing up here. You know, when you tell people your goals, especially when it's related to who you are and who you want to be. So for me, I had a goal. I want to be a $1,000 a day eBay seller, right? Well, looking back, I think I told two people. I told my wife, and I think I told my dad one time when we were sitting down, maybe after dinner at his house, and I'm like, I think I could do $1,000 a day if we really stick to this. And that was it. It was the only two times I ever brought it up. But in my mind, I was thinking about it all the time. And I think that's the way to do it. And it's the hard way. Just like in so many things, especially when we're talking about adulting, delayed gratification is S tier in the metagame of real life. You can't, it's hard to beat because so few people have the self-control to really master delayed gratification. You know, eBay really is a game of delayed gratification compared to all these other reselling platforms, whatnot. All these live selling platforms, of course it's more satisfying as the seller to get the immediate sale, but if you can just play the eBay game, and if you have items that have on an average 30 to 60 day average sell-through rate, and you're honest about that, you actually are listing quality items, then all you have to do is wait 30 to 60 days and all of that same money is going to be coming in. But waiting 30 to 60 days is really hard. Like imagine what you could do if you dedicated yourself to a health and wellness plan for 30 to 60 days. You've seen those turnarounds, right? Like if you actually ate right, you did the thing, you ate the chicken and the broccoli and the sweet potatoes or whatever your version, the healthy breakfast salads or whatever the healthy version is. There's a million versions of a healthy diet, right? But whatever it is for you, if you stuck to it, and maybe some kind of wellness plan as well, just imagine. Like eBay, but like how many people actually stick to it for even 30 to 60 days? You can see those numbers of people that sign up for the gym early on in the year, and then you just see the attendance numbers just going down. I don't know what they call that. The amount of people that show up to the gyms over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, getting into February, March. And it's just this precipitous drop off, right? So it's hard. This is a hard game. And so here's the caution, right? And there's a little bit of research I was looking into from, I think 2009. I was just looking up about how if you share your intention publicly, the theory from these researchers is that it causes a premature spike in dopamine, allowing you to have that feeling as if you've already achieved the goal. So here's what I mean. let's say I'm going around telling everyone as we're talking, and people often ask what I do. Like, hey, I'm doing eBay. And I'm always just very humble and very reserved. Like, hey, it's hard, it's fun, it's hard work, you know. But if I was to tell everyone, yeah, I think I'm going to do $1,000 a day soon, $1,000. And I was able to bring up this big number, which is cool. And I really only felt comfortable talking about it publicly to the point where, yeah, I mean, if I feel comfortable talking about it publicly, I really do think that I'm capable of doing $1,000 a day. At this point, it's much higher than that. And so I can start a YouTube channel and feel like I'm being incredibly honest, saying, yes, definitely $1,000 a day on average, for sure. Right now, we're averaging around $1,400 plus per day. So we're well above that. But if I was to go around telling people that every time it comes up that I'm an eBay seller, right? The problem is that it's going to feel really good. Now that's why it seems weird, right? But here's what the research says. You're much more likely to get compliments like, oh, you must be so smart. You must be so hardworking. Wow. You must have really amazing stuff. Wow, that's incredible. How, right? Like, it should sound impressive. And like, really, if you actually know me, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, all he does is eBay. Like, he hangs out with his family and he just does eBay all the time. I'm like, yeah, I do eBay all the time. And if you do eBay all the time and you're dedicated to it, eventually you're going to see some results, right? So I figure I take more of the Cal Newport approach. Like, I know that if I put in enough quality reps into a business model that works, I'm going to see results. Like, at a certain point, there's this book. The reason I brought up Cal Newport, he's an author. He has a book called So Good They Can't Ignore You, right? And it's about that, right? I think you can probably figure it out. So good they can't ignore you. Like, instead of working on finding other people's approval early on, I think this is a very similar idea to what I'm talking about. Instead of seeking that approval that allows you to get those compliments and feel good and feel that identity before you even achieved the identity, just be so good that they can't ignore you. Don't seek out the attention. Keep your head down and do the work, and eventually other people will lift their head up and say, wow, that's an amazing thing that you've built, if that's what you're going for, or tell no one, right? I'm only talking about on this YouTube channel because I feel so indebted to this community, to the reselling community, to Tech and Sports, to Commonwealth Flipper, to ADH Dave, to Homeschool Mom, to Hustle at Home Mom. Oh my gosh, to all these amazing people that I've followed all along the way who have showed me that this could be a full-time job. Like, you can actually support a family doing this. Like, wow, it makes me emotional. Maybe I'm just like deliriously tired, but I'm over here. Yeah, like seeing these other moms, these other dads, like out there doing it. Like, it was so inspiring to me. And so I'm not looking for praise, because I think I've really read that research. Like, I think that might actually make me worse. Like, I don't actually want the praise. Like, honestly, sometimes the negativity kind of fires me up, or even just gives me a clue into my own life, where some of these negative comments, I'm like, well, maybe they're right. Like, maybe I should like look at my own life. And I actually appreciate that too. Yeah, I don't know. It's been an interesting journey, but I'm definitely not doing this for the attention, right? Like, I don't actually like attention, but I do feel like I appreciate fairness and like a fair game. And when I look back, like I owe this entire career to other creators on YouTube. So I'm just trying to give back in my own way over here. So I appreciate all these creators. I'm sure, there's so many that it's hard to even mention them all, but man, being able to do the work and then do the extra work to put that stuff online and share it in a way that's honest and actually like helps other people is commendable, I think. It's a cool thing. You don't have to do it. So this is I'm not even talking about what I'm packing over here, because I feel like there's just more important things. I got $1,000 of orders. It's video game stuff. This is a clamp only for an Xbox 360 racing steering wheel. If you were curious, it's this big. I packed it up when I listed it, and now it's ready to go. All I have to do is slap a label on it and type in the dimensions. Well, in reverse order. Type in the dimensions and then slap a label on it. And it's sold for $24.99 plus shipping. And I think I just typed it in incorrectly. So I have an important question to ask yourself. Instead of, I think here's a positive thing. It's still tough. It's still a little bit of tough love. But instead of sharing your big goal with people and getting all that praise, saying, oh, I want to be a full-time eBay seller, or I want to be an eBay seller that sells X, or I want to hire this many people, I want to have a business that does this. Because I tend to believe, at least personally, maybe you can relate to this, I don't think the praise helps me. I think it actually makes me feel comfortable, like I already did it. And I didn't do it yet. And yes, I've achieved $1,000 a day on eBay, but I have much bigger goals. Like, it's not like my wife can retire yet. It's not like she feels financially secure. Like, I'm not going to have energy forever. So right now my goal is like, let's get enough money to retire, make sure my wife is set up, that I'm set up also, hopefully to take care of her. We have money for healthcare. I think I can do that through eBay. So that's my goal, right? But I'm not, well, here I'm telling people, but I'm actually not doing it for the praise. And in fact, I don't actually want it for that. So no need to comment about that. I really do appreciate the comments. As always, as I say at the end of every video these days, I will see you in the comment section. I really try to respond to every comment. And what I want to hear is your journey. I want to hear from you. I want to hear on your reselling journey, what you're getting caught up on. I see this like a fun puzzle. Like I love this game of eBay so much that I just realized that my phone is turned off, but that's okay. It's not actually that important right now. I'll restart it when I need to, and we'll get into it. I got $1,000 worth, a little bit less now. I packed up a few items. But here's my advice here at the top of the video before we just settle in and get the rest of these items packed. Instead of telling people your goal, whatever your big goal is, ask yourself this question. What am I going to do when things get hard? I've been thinking about that a lot lately as a parent, as a business owner, as somebody who's also trying to balance my own life, and just went out on a long bike packing trip with some new friends this weekend. It was an intro to bike packing. So we biked out 25 miles, camped, we had all of our stuff set up, cooked food, put our feet in the lake, biked back. I'm completely sunburnt. I don't think it shows up on video, but I'm completely sunburnt. My cheeks are like burning red right now, but it feels so good. But I'll tell you what else I feel is incredibly tired. And turns out this happens to me a lot. I'm tired a lot. I'm a parent. Like I have my own business. You know, I try to train, you know, for fitness as much as I can. I teach at my kids' co-op. So tomorrow my day's completely taken up. I'm not going to be home until 3 or 4 because we go out and I teach at my kids' co-op and we're there all day. And I love being there. I love seeing who my kids' friends are and who they're growing up with. And so I've just kind of like written off my Mondays in a way, and I'm going to figure out how to make my business work around that because that's how important it is to me. But something that happens to me a lot is I get tired. And so I have a rule for myself. I ask myself that a lot, and now I've developed an answer. What do I do when things get tired? Well, personally, what I do is if I can nap, I nap. And if I can't, I do it tired. That's it. If I can nap, I nap. Sometimes the situation is not right. Obviously, if you're like watching young children, you can't nap. If you are under a deadline, you can't nap. Obviously, there's so many opportunities in life where you can't. So if you can't nap, you do it tired. And if you can, you nap. If I actually need to sleep, I will lie down. So many times, you ask my wife, she will come in here. I am just lying down here in my office, sometimes with a pillow, sometimes not. But I have decided that I was working tired, but now I can nap, so I will nap. Sometimes I turn off the lights if I manage. Sometimes I just need to take a quick nap, and I like the lights on my face. But that's my personal rule, because you're going to get tired a lot. Like if you're going to work hard, if you're going to push yourself, you're going to get tired. Like that's part of it. If you're going to train hard, if you're going to push yourself, see what you're capable of, you're going to get tired. And I've learned to just recognize that is putting me in rare air. That is putting me in territory that not very many people are willing to go. If I already have a good capacity to work and I'm tired and I'm still working, you're putting yourself further away from the competition. As I've said, as I recognize, here's the big downside to sharing stuff like this on YouTube, right? I'm creating competition for myself. I'm fully aware of that. That is not in my best interest necessarily. But I recognize that Most people are not willing to go that far, and a few people are, and they're going to be very grateful. And I feel like that will be my form of giving back, is in those few people that actually are able to figure out how to take some bit of my business. And I don't expect anyone to copy this business, because this business is a reflection of me. But that's why I'm just trying to document here, and then you can kind of take whatever you want from my life and like learn if you want to, or just be entertained, or just fall asleep to the sound of my voice. That's fine too. But I've just learned to bring it back. Before I get too rambly, I should be packing items here. I've learned to just do it tired. You know, unless I can actually nap, and I'm going to go to sleep tonight when it's my bedtime. You know, I'm going to go to sleep with my wife. That is going to be great. But until then, I'm just going to do it tired. I am going to do this more slowly. I'm probably going to do this YouTube video more slowly. But I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it tired. Right? And then I'm going to go to bed satisfied. And when my head hits that pillow, I'm going to fall asleep, because then it's time to fall asleep. That's what happens. If you work hard, if you push yourself, if you expend all your energy, you will fall asleep. So I don't know. That's my little rant for the day. I appreciate all of y'all watching the YouTube channel here. It's all my favorite YouTube creators are like reaching out, or have commented on my video, or have at least liked my comments on their videos. And I just feel like the world is getting smaller in the coolest way. Like, I am able to start connecting with these other people that are doing it, that are like managing the parenting, that are so often, not all the YouTube creators are parents necessarily. I was just thinking about David Paleo, another awesome YouTube creator that I love watching right now. His YouTube channel is, it's apparel something. I'm looking it up right now, David. I'm so sorry. Apparel Zone, right? Yeah, Active Apparel Zone. Yeah. David Paleo, awesome YouTube creator. Definitely worth checking out. In fact, hold on, anyway, here's David Paleo's. Hopefully should be back on my screen over here. Awesome YouTube creator. Definitely worth checking out here. And what I want to do is I want to talk about some comments. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to pull up all the most recent comments on my videos. We're going to talk about them. I think it's going to be fun while I'm doing my videos here. So I really appreciate the honest feedback. So if you see me making mistakes, let me know. Like, I'm not perfect. When that's been my attitude in starting my businesses since my wife first started and first hired our first employees, and we probably shouldn't have at the time. But I think the attitude was right, in a sense of, please tell us if we're making mistakes. And that actually covered a lot of our mistakes, because our employees were so much more wise in some ways, so often older than us or more experienced in food service than us. And they were like, okay, I think there's a smarter way to do it. Get the right pan, get the thing that fits in here. How about this recipe? We can use this new food processor attachment. Just so helpful. All the little ways in which our employees were able to like help contribute was just so cool, and really I think covered a lot of our, lack of experience. It's hard to be an expert in everything when you're starting a restaurant like that. There's a lot to manage there. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when things get hard? I think that's the question to ask yourself here. We're gonna get into some comments. This first one is from Troy Rides on my latest video. Actually, no, that was 2 videos ago. But my video 2 videos ago, it now has thousands of views. So thank you to all the new subscribers. And Troy Rides says, I hate working with Rock Band, but the profit margins are exquisite. Oh, chef's kiss. I agree. Love working with Rock Band. All of it. The guitars, the dongles, all of it. The games. I'll take them all. The games, even the games that are less valuable on their own, I sell in bundles, like Rock Band 1, 2, 3, that kind of stuff. But Rock Band 4, that's the winner. That's a good one. So what did I say there? Oops, I'm going to downvote you. You get an upvote, my man. Troy Ride says, yeah, I hate working with Rock Band, but the profit margins are exquisite. And my response, okay, yeah, that's what I wanted to touch on. I think this is a good thing to touch on here. I said, if you hate it, other resellers probably hate selling it too. I've learned if I can tolerate that kind of inventory, there's going to be more opportunity. Just like I was talking about before, about putting yourself into the rare air, like recognizing what you are doing that is setting you apart from everyone else, and that might be a competitor, right? So it's unfortunate, but true. It's a competition, right? Like we're in a competition with all the other resellers just because there is a lot of inventory, but it's not unlimited. And so it's important to recognize where your competitive advantage is in the market, right? That's all it's going to take. There is still so much junk being donated to Goodwill on a daily basis. Good stuff. Good stuff that is going to be passed right through Goodwill. Often they are just overwhelmed at the end of the day, and that stuff's going to get passed right on to people like us who love finding deals at thrift stores or other areas like handling junk. There's plenty, but there is still a little bit of competition. So I would just say to make sure that your business has some areas that play into your strengths. Like, what are you uniquely good at? So for me, I don't mind busting out the magic erasers and the rubbing alcohol and the electric screwdrivers, taking some stuff apart, my little electric vacuum cleaner and dust blower, and refurbish some electronics. And so my pitch often is like, I take broken, cockroach infested, dirty video game stuff, all those cables, all the power supplies, give it to me. I've taken tangles of wires that themselves weigh 100 pounds or more. I could hardly lift all these cables and all the stuff attached to it. Absolutely insane. Took hours to untangle. That's the stuff I want. Why do I want that? Seems weird. I've learned to recognize that is the kind of vegetables that most resellers are not willing to eat. It's good junk. There's good stuff out there, but you gotta find it in areas where not many people are willing to go. That's it. So yeah, Guitar Hero. Yes, the dongles. There's so many of them. What's the brand? What's the model number? It's super tiny. Does it work? Do you have the right game? Do you have the right system to test it? The guitars, they're huge. How do you test it? The boxes are big. Yes. All of that, yes. But is there opportunity for you? If you can find inventory like that, and there's a million things like that are hard to sell, hard to ship, hard to whatever, right? Those hards are separating you from the other resellers. Most people are not willing to do hard. They want the easy stuff. You got to look at the numbers. Like, I think you just got to look around, right? Most people are looking for the quick fixes, and eBay is delayed gratification. eBay is putting your money up front. It's putting your effort up front and your time, and then just sitting and waiting until it sells. So my secret is just not to sit and wait. I'm just going to keep listing more and more and more items until I get to those numbers of sales that I want. So you don't have to sit and wait if you don't want to. And if you run out of items, go get some more items. That's our whole job, right? Find items. They're out there. Make some phone calls. Make some connections. Just talk to some people. Who has the stuff that I like? Call them. Just call them. Who's got extra clothing? Call them. Call all of them. Make a list. That's what in my business, what I did is I made a spreadsheet one day, and I just started going through on Google Maps, and I started zooming out, and I started typing the kind of words that I'm interested in: electronics, games, thrift, sales, used, resale, like whatever, like get creative. And I started looking for businesses and just started writing down contact info and start making calls. Because I'm going to assume that the easy stuff is already taken. Most people, I think like I said before, are looking for the easy stuff. So that super amazing item on Facebook Marketplace that might pop up once every day or a couple days is probably going to get snatched up by the people looking for the easy stuff. But how many good items are out there in your area, in your city, in your state, in your country, wherever you happen to be? We actually have a lot of international viewers. It's pretty cool. A lot of viewers from Australia, actually. Where's your competitive advantage? I think that's the question to ask. Where do people have that stuff? And especially, what we're talking about is the kind of inventory that's not listed for sale. All that stuff's taken. The easy stuff is taken. The stuff that's just listed on Facebook Marketplace that you can just search for is taken. But how many people have extra junk in their houses that's not necessarily for sale? And so what I've seen, I think maybe the first thing that I would do, and that I have done, is you post an ad on Facebook. You post to local Facebook groups and you say, hey, I am a reseller of X and I buy and sell X. If you have any for me, used electronics, used video games, please let me know. Send me some pictures. My pitch was, I will pay better than GameStop. Let me know. I'll come pick it up. And you can find all kinds of good stuff that's not for sale. But some people are looking for easy stuff, and then they see you pop up on Facebook saying, I buy games easily. Or I'll come to you, I pick it up. I tried all kinds of things, right? And to say, let me make it easy for you. If you're looking for something easy, I'm going to look for that inventory that isn't listed for sale, but it's around you. So for every one that is listed on your local marketplace, how many are just sitting in people's closets? So the question might be, how do I get to them? Or where do they end up? Where do those get donated? Are those thrift stores going to get too many? And then maybe I can talk to those thrift stores. Like, there are so many ways. You just got to make that contact list. And I'd start getting the word out there too. If you buy and sell, especially if you're in kind of a niche market, I think that's the way to go. So I think you can put yourself into some rare air. It really is. It's going to give you that job security. Like, if you do what not many are willing to do, then by definition, not very many people will be equipped to take your job. It's that simple, right? If you get really easy inventory, if your business relies on the stuff on the shelves of a thrift store that's open, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., for just anyone to come find. And these days, it is so easy to find those easy flips and maybe to resell it on Facebook, that the really good stuff, the stuff with that 10x flip potential, is probably going to get snatched up at a thrift store. But if you want those big hitters, the things that you can buy for 10 and sell for 100, you're going to have to look in places that not very many people are willing to look. So I'm talking about phone calls like it's nothing, but how many people are actually willing to dial a number and wait for the response and then talk to someone about doing business? Like, I don't think it's very many people. So we're thinking about, if you're willing to do it, you're potentially giving yourself a job of finding some inventory that not very many people are willing to find. If you have to make phone calls to get it, it might be a competitive advantage. If it's hard, but you can do it, if it's hard, but you still feel good at the end of the day, that might be good. For me, personally, that's good. If it's hard, but I still feel good at the end of the day, I know I'm pushing myself, and I'm pushing myself, again, beyond where most people are willing to push themselves. So this controller is a bundle of 3. Here's 2, but I have not pulled the 3rd yet, so I'll just wait on this 2. I'm going to still keep packing here. Let's see. I think this is the power supply for the PlayStation VR. The little VR processor. Man, PS4 VR seems like so much things. Like, you need the PS4, you need the game, you need the PS4 console, you need the additional PS4 VR console, And then you need the VR headset, and then you need the special controllers. It just seems like a lot. Like at that point, why not just get a regular standalone headset? I'm not sure. This is the power supply. Yes, sold for a whopping $4. Whoop-de-doo. But $4 plus shipping, and it's inventory that I have, and I can sell it quick. And I've sold it before, so this is another one I just have to update the inventory on. So I think for my per hour, I think I'm still making good money on this kind of item. And keep it moving. So I'd love to, stop recording here. Start again. All right, we're back here. All right, so the next question from Roger Federer, 3817. Do you have any employees or anyone that helps with listing? Kind of wild to just throw a microphone in a bag instead of a box, but hey, whatever works for you. Well, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate the kind of underlying attitude of sharing your honest opinion, but at the same time saying, hey, whatever works for you is like literally my kind of people. So thank you for your comment. I think it's actually super helpful and constructive, and I get it. I wrap it with multiple layers of high quality bubble wrap. I think he's talking about some Rock Band or Guitar Hero microphones from Logitech. These happen to be very durable microphones. I have experience listening to them before, and for that particular item, as far as I know, I've never had any damage in shipping. So at this point, it becomes a numbers game, right? So these poly bags cost pennies, and the box can cost 50 cents to $1, depending. And so you just got to do the math over time. Even if I was to get one item damaged in shipping out of 100, that's still, I'm making more money on the poly bags. You know what I mean? On just shipping it in a poly bag and making that extra 50 cents on every shipment for all 100. So I've got $50 in the bank, which gives me enough money to just send that one person who had a broken one a new one, right? But at this point, I've never had a broken microphone. So I tend to be of the approach, as far as shipping goes, of less is more. Like, I am cautious and I am thinking about these items literally being thrown across the room. But if I can imagine them being, surviving a throw across the room, then I'm going to roll with it. And if that happens to be in a poly bag, it saves me a significant amount of money. Like, I am doing a volume business here. I am selling 30 to 40 items per day. So any of these little tweaks over the course of days, weeks, months can actually be saving huge amounts of money. So that is why we would go with something like a poly bag instead of a box. And I do use a few more sheets of bubble wrap when I put it in a poly bag. If I was to put it in a box, if that makes sense, I would probably only do a layer or two of bubble wrap because the box itself and the corners are providing a lot of protection to the microphone. But if I was to ship it in a poly bag, I'm going to put 5 or 6 layers of bubble wrap, and that like 6 layers thick, like a croissant, all the way around to this high quality from American Bubble Boy. So for that reason, I am going to spend an extra few cents maybe in bubble wrap, but again, still saving a significant amount of money versus the box. So that's why we do the poly bag. But for plenty of things, we obviously use boxes. Whenever I think it is appropriate, definitely send our items in a box for sure. But for a $10 Rock Band microphone, I'm going to go with the poly bag, and I'm going to save that money. And that is kind of how we tend to run our business. So this is a GameCube power supply. Sold this for $9 plus shipping. So kind of wild to just throw my phone in the bag. Okay, do you have any employees, anyone that helps you with this thing? So my wife does list occasionally, and she helps with so many things in our business. So we are definitely a team in this. In fact, as I mentioned before, I was out biking with buddies all weekend, and I was laughing because I realized I don't even know how I get paid. Like, at this point, I've been self-employed for like, I don't know, like full-time self-employed for like 12 years or something. But like, my wife runs all the payroll. Like, she's incredible. Like, she's the one who runs the numbers, figures out how much we need to get paid. She's the one who really inspired me with that $500 a day goal, right? Where she kind of sat me down and said, I think if you can do $500 a day on eBay, I think that's going to cover our expenses for our life. And so that, in my mind, I was like, okay, maybe $1,000 a day one day, right? But dang, what was I talking about again? That's how you know I'm getting tired. We're doing it tired over here, folks. Oh yeah, my wife. She runs the payroll. My wife, she does so many of these things to the point where, like, I literally don't know how I get paid or even how much. Because in our real life, she also handles all of our bills. So I'm not just a floating business entity. I also have a life, but my wife handles our bill paying. She handles the children's scheduling, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments. So yes, I do most of the listing, but my wife also does a good amount of listing on the side, listing Wii stuff, listing power supplies. She lists McDonald's Happy Meal toys to pay for free Happy Meal stuff for the kids. So she's incredible. Listing is my thing. I'm good at listing. I love doing it because I know, I mean, if we're going to tie it back, this is the same meta game that I'm talking about. This is the game within the game. So now you understand the rules of eBay, right? You understand that you have to get quality items, you have to list X amount, you have to sell X amount. That's the basic rules. But the meta game is to recognize that there are other people playing it at the same time as you. And so you need to adjust your strategy to them, right? Now I know that not many people are willing to list 30 to 40 items per day, because if you want to sell 30 to 40 items per day, no one's listing it for you. I don't think VAs work in the same way that most people think they do. If you still have to find the item, you still have to take the photos of it, you still have to send it to them, then you still have to review the draft. I mean, at that point, you might as well just be selling similar and doing it yourself, in my mind. I'd love to see the workflow in that and how it makes sense, because I think if you're quick and you're just listing quickly on your phone, you can do it way faster and probably at a higher quality level than if you were to farm it out to a VA. But that's my personal opinion. So that's what I'm going to put my money into. My personal bet is going to be that not many people are willing to do that work, to do the work of listing a ton of items in a row, over and over and over again, day after day, even some of the same items, right? In fact, a lot of the same items. My business has become selling a lot of the same items. And I think part of that's just as you gain experience, you recognize there's only so many game consoles in the world. There's only so many accessories. There's only so many Skylanders portals like I just sold, right? There's only so many. And like eventually you see them all. And I haven't seen everything. Last year I found a Neo Geo Pocket. That was really awesome. It did not work fully, but it was really a cool system. And it had a game as well that was an all-girls fighting game. I should look up what that was called. It was so cool. It was for Neo Geo Pocket, and it was like in the style of a traditional Street Fighter game, but the entire cast was female. It was like so badass. I forget what that was called. Anyway, my phone stopped working again. That's fine. We're over here yapping. I think that's good. I appreciate all you in internet land working along here with me. Out here getting it done. And I'm following my own personal rule of, if you are tired, just do it tired. You don't stop. You don't feel sorry for yourself. If you can sleep, you sleep. And if you can't, you do it tired. That's simple. That's helped me in parenting. You know, there's just so many times you're not going to have the sleep that you expect. For those of you that watched the last video, this is still that same roll of squeaky as hell bubble wrap. It is so squeaky. But we are here to give it a second life. I use recycled bubble wrap from American Bubble Boy. I think there should be a link down there in the description now. But I do think it's the best bubble wrap. They have distribution centers all over the country, so you tend to get your bubble wrap within a day or two, and the prices are great, and the quality really is like the best. So you can expect that the bubbles just don't pop as easily, right? Like I'm pressing down on the bubble with some pretty good force, and it's not popping, so you can trust that it's going to make it a longer way and travel, because as soon as they collapse, almost all that protective power is gone, right? Especially if you're only going to do a couple of layers of bubble wrap, 1 or 2 bubbles pop, and you have an exposed item again, essentially. So American Bubble Boy has, in my experience, been the best. Maybe that's part of why I have so few complaints about damage and shipping. I mean, really, it almost never happens. I do get returns as an electronics seller. And as an electronics seller that sells 30 to 40 items per day, and my return rate is between 1% and 2%, I think that ends up being like, I don't know, a return a day or something is about what it averages out to, something like that. It happens a lot. It feels like it happens a lot. But if somebody's saying that something gets damaged in shipping, almost never. So that I am grateful for. Oh, here we got, I think this is a tested and working DS Lite. Yeah. Includes charging cable, little USB charging cable. It includes a game, Cooking Mama. I got a stylus, matching color, got the whole thing. Charged up, battery tested, ready to go. So these DS Lites, oh, that's pretty good actually. That's actually more than I was hoping. This did sit for a little while, but probably only a few weeks based on the SKU number here, 5559. So, all right, because I'm only currently on 5580. Oh yeah, I just listed this a few days ago. Great, and it sold for $54.99, so not too bad, DS Lite. Maybe the least desirable of the DS franchise as far as resale potential, but $54.99, I'll take that. Ooh, this is squeaky bubble wrap. That's so funny. All right. Let's see here. I think I'm going to get back to some comments. So yeah, we were on that comment about what Roger Federer was saying that, yeah, what does your wife do listing? She doesn't do that much listing, but she does so much for our business. It's a 2-person operation for sure. So, okay, next one was from a short, my ASP. So ASP is reseller lingo for average sales price, right? And this person says my ASP, sorry, Craig Alicia 8031 says my ASP is $50, but I only sell about 6 to 7 a day. Where do you source to have so many items sold daily? I'm wanting to get my daily sales up to 10 a day. Thanks. Well, that's a hard question to answer because I don't know where they live. That is the question since I've started YouTube that I've by far gotten the most, right? It's like, where do you find good items? And the answer, as you hear so often from the good questions, is it depends. Like, it depends. Like, where are you located? What are you like selling? What are you good at fixing or cleaning up or identifying? Like, there's no good stuff. I'm not going to be like on the corner of 4th and Main, there's a treasure chest full of great inventory. Like, I think you got to figure out, how do I find that stuff that not very many people are willing to sell or to hold? You know, maybe your thing is big stuff. You know, you see those guys flipping couches on YouTube. I think that's really inspiring. And to me, that actually does seem kind of legit and makes sense, because who's willing to like grab a couch and then hold on to it for a few weeks for the right buyer? Like, you got to be the right kind of person to just like sit on a couch. And so if you're willing to have a storage unit full of couches listed on Facebook Marketplace for, you know, what the market value is for a used couch, but maybe you got it for cheap or free, because most people just want to get rid of these big old things because couches are huge, right? But that's a competitive advantage. So keep going back to that. So I said, I source directly. At this point, yeah, I've made business relationships with people where I'm able to get stuff in a larger bulk. But, you know, for me, that requires also dealing with a lot of items that I wouldn't pick up necessarily. But my pitch, I recognize, is I think you want to be able to be a service to people. So I'm saying I'll take your dirty stuff and I'll figure out what to do with it. And so I figured out how to deal with a lot of really dirty electronics and flip them in different ways and either fix them up or sell them for parts or, you know, redonate them if I have to. And then it's just a matter of figuring out, you know, of course, as always, was this a profitable buy or not? So I'll turn that fan off here. I feel like that fan was making this like humming noise. I'm really appreciating the silence right now. Last night I slept in a tent at a campsite with some buddies. I left the rain fly off, mesh was open, could just see the stars and the trees, and absolutely awesome. Just learning to just appreciate silence. To be okay with people, or to be with people who are okay with silence every once in a while. It's really nice. The next person said, how are you recording your phone? Well, this time not very well. My phone keeps turning off, but I use just the screen recording feature on my iPhone, and then I just merge that video with the video that I've recorded on my action camera here in my video editing software. So speaking of my wife listed this item, McDonald's Happy Meal toy. Thank you very much. $2.99 plus shipping. I will take it. Kids don't need it. They got so many toys. When your parents are resellers, man, my kids, man, they got all the toys. So yeah, what I wanted to say, so this, oh my gosh, 8002, their second comment here, they said, thanks, I love your videos. I'm reselling small scale, but your vids are motivating to actually make this a truly income generating opportunity. So how cool is that? Making stuff happen, inspiring people, make some more money. This is not about get rich quick. This is not about quit your job. This is about put in the effort. And if your effort is directed correctly, you will see results. And eventually, you won't need to be asking, do I need to quit my job or should I quit my job? You'll be asking, how do I tell my boss that I'm making so much money that I don't want to show up anymore? Like, you have to do that first. Especially if you got family. I think you can't just take that leap for most people. So this is a PlayStation 2 little React dongle, sold for $15. So great though, I'll take it. Whew, we're doing it tired. Yeah, it's getting late, 9:38. I'm an early to bed boy, but like I said, I was riding my bike until, middle of the afternoon, came home, got 20 or 30 items packed, and then it was 5 o'clock, and then I transitioned to family time. We had dinner. We watched an episode of our favorite cooking game show called Crime Scene Kitchen. And then I helped the kids get to bed. We read Skylanders Universe, as I mentioned. And now I'm back. Tomorrow, also more important stuff. For me anyway, and that's teaching at my kids' homeschool co-op. My wife is so good during these harder moments or the more dull moments to remind me that this is my kids' childhood. Like this is the time, right? This is their school experience. Like this is their time to make friends. This is the time on the playground where they're seeing all these different types of kids and different age groups, which I love. And it's amazing. My wife is so good at helping to remind me of the significance. This is actually supposed to be in a bundle with this other cable, so I gotta sacrifice this poly back here. Yeah, Heather's so good at reminding me of the significance of the smaller moments. Of this is actually their childhood. This is the time that they learn how to swim. This is the time. This is the time that they graduate from second grade. This is the time that they have their first sleepover. This is their childhood happening in front of us. And it is significant. I was watching a documentary on YouTube earlier this week, getting all excited for this bike packing trip. And it was about the start of mountain biking. And this woman, Wendy Craig, who was there documenting all of it, photographing it. So at least the start of modern mountain biking, they say, at least in this documentary, was in California in the early 70s and the 80s, or I don't know, late 70s, somewhere in that era. And they were there taking photographs, and this woman, Wendy Craig, now she's doing presentations, and she's like a living legend. She's in the Mountain Bike Hall of Fame, and it's just, she was there documenting these people that were really pioneering this new form of biking, right? But for her, in a way, she was just hanging out with her buddies, but she wanted to take photos, and they were all excited to go get them developed and then go huddle over and see if she got any good photos of the last race, the last big ride. And looking back on it, now obviously she's much older. She said, back then I didn't always recognize how significant these moments were. But looking back, I recognize how significant they were. And in some ways she was referencing, in a way they were kind of making history. But I think in a way it was also just significant in her own life. And maybe she was recognizing that she didn't really recognize it as much, or she didn't appreciate it as much. And it's been sticking with me. Like every time now I see, we have like Google Chrome or Chromecast on our TV. So if we're not watching anything, sometimes our TV will just flash random photos, like random family photos. And now I'm seeing myself in this new light of back then, at the family reunion 2 years ago, where all of my family was together at that one time. Like, did you realize how significant that was at the time? Like that was the time. That was the family reunion where you saw all your cousins at once, and you all had that moment where everybody shared something important or personal that one night. Like, to have all those memories come back, it really is great. And to recognize that, for me, this life is significant, and trying to be here for my kids' lives too. Like this is their childhood. So that's what I'm willing to sacrifice I think the free time, right? Like I'm going to do eBay. I'm going to turn off this camera and I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to wake up. We're going to make breakfast and lunch and pack the lunch. And then we're going to go to school. And that's going to be my day. And that's going to be my kids' life. And I think that's going to help my kids' journey be extra fun. And I think mine as well in a related way. Parenting is a trip. I did a podcast a few weeks ago with Tech and Sports, and it's just a complete honor. And yeah, it's out on YouTube. This podcast with Tech and Sports on his channel from, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. And before we started recording, he was so professional. The one thing I think he'd be okay with me saying, he said, "Is there anything you don't want to talk about on the podcast before we start recording?" Which I just thought was so nice. And then we were joking. And at one point I think that I said, I don't recommend parenting to anybody, just like I don't recommend eBay to anybody. Like I don't recommend eBay. Like I'm going to show you what I'm doing here on this channel, but I don't recommend this. Like it's hard. I think all the easy inventory is taken. Like it's all taken at this point. So unfortunately, you got to do the hard stuff. Like I'm testing consoles. I'm shipping big heavy consoles. This is a 4 gigabyte Xbox 360e console. And just that alone, when I started shipping consoles, I had to buy a bunch of boxes, figure out what works, figure out the kinds of bubble wrap, the wrapping technique, right? Ooh, we're squeaking. Squeakiest bubble wrap in the land. But now I've learned to recognize that's where it gets good. Something that most people are not willing to ship and put the time in to test, all that stuff, right? This has multiple things that make it kind of a pain in the butt. But if you want the real profit, this particular console was sold for $50. Console only, $50 plus shipping. Gotta be willing to do the hard stuff. So my recording experiment has essentially failed. I keep forgetting to get my phone to start recording, but I think this is going to be the last item. Oh wait, no, we have a few boxes here. I'm going to do those. That'll be good. So this is that 4 GB Xbox 360 console. I get a few more of these ones that were pre-packed and my wife already set out for me so nicely. Really, it's a team effort. Listing takes, I think, years, honestly. It's mentally hard. It's hard to stay focused on something that requires that many steps and also requires detachment in a way. Like you get attached to these items, you put so much effort into them, and sometimes it's quite disappointing to see how little things are worth. Yeah, that can kind of bum you out. But if it's still worth listing, list it for what it's worth and move on, right? But then that can be discouraging for the next item. Like, oh, I bought this item for $15. Now I have to list it for $15, and that sucks. Yep, it does. Hopefully you'll learn from that. Maybe you don't buy it again, but maybe you bought it in a bulk lot. So it makes sense because you got a lot of other really valuable items. If it makes sense to list it, you list it. You got to know your metrics, right? I think so many of us now have watched that Tekken Sports Techonomics video. If you haven't, definitely recommend YouTubing Tekken Sports. And then instead of economics, you could probably search economics, but his name is Tekken Sports. You could search Techonomics, but I think he already laid it out. You gotta know your metrics. Like he already did it. He laid out the blueprint. No need to rehash it. Just direct to Tekken Sports' video. He's got it laid out. You gotta know your metrics for your business, what works. And that you just gotta know the numbers. Remember, it's gonna execute. So this is a lot of broken consoles I wasn't able to fix. These are Xbox One consoles. Not a lot of value here. These sold for $20 plus shipping. But they are in my 16 by 12 by 8 box, which is exactly at the limit of the cubic shipping rate. So this is going for $14.24 with ground advantage cubic, even though it's going all the way to Florida. So let's see, we've got one more big box here. And this is, I think, another lot of consoles. Let's see. 5437. I'm gonna have to bust out the tape measure. 9 inches. So we got 12. So this is one of those resizable boxes, but I think I actually manually resized this one. I don't know if this one has a 9 or not. This is actually one of my regular 12 by 12s. I've since upgraded to a 12 by 12 by 12 that is resizable, but I think it only goes down to 10 and 8, not 9. Okay, that is the last of these. I think there's a few more to grab from downstairs, but I think I'm going to be done. And just wanted to say thank you again for all the amazing support, the comments, the criticism, all of it. For me, it's helpful to know that there's other people out there doing it. This can be a lonely job, and it's just cool to know there's other resellers doing it. It is a job. At the end of the day, this is a job, but I love it, and I think a lot of people do. But I recognize the kind of grind that it takes to do at least this version of it. I'm sure there's some way to do it way better than me. I'm just showing my path on this journey here. So thank you for joining me on this journey. I am Joe, Profit First Reseller. I'll see you next time. And until then, I'll see you in the comments.